what's one important lesson that you've learned over the course of your marketing career that you could share with us?
Yeah, things are just always going to be changing. And so one of Appfire's core values is thrive on change and grow together. And so we've sort of all adopted this mindset that like, hey, everything is always changing. We shouldn't just try to be successful despite the change. We should like embrace it, know that it's always going to be coming, be, mentally prepared for that. But yeah, just being adaptable to all of the changes that may come your way, whether it's the career trajectory, different opportunities, being excited and able to grab new opportunities as they're presented. Be kind of, I would say, emotionally neutral about all the changes that may come your way. Whether it's with the business or whatever.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Marketing Tales with Chris Raposo. Today, my guest is Holly Wright. She is the VP of Marketplace Success at Appfire, and she also used to work for Hannon Hill in the past. So I'm really super excited to talk to her today. Holly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Hey, so I did a little bit of research on you, and I noticed that you studied industrial design at Georgia Tech. While you were working on your undergrad degree, you also obtained a marketing certificate from the College of Business, and then you moved on to earn your MBA from Georgia Tech as well. What made you want to get into marketing?
Honestly, it was actually some advice from an older classmate. After she had graduated, she was like, I don't know, there's so few jobs in industrial design. Maybe you should take a few marketing classes. And I was like, okay. And I took a few and I really liked them. And somewhere around the middle of my junior year, I was starting to realize I might not want to do industrial design when I graduated. So I decided to go for the full, certificate in marketing. And then, I ended up getting a job in marketing after college and realized that I wanted to fill out the rest of my business education. So that's why I went back and did the rest of we did my MBA to cover all the other areas of business.
Yeah, it's very smart. You made an early pivot, and that's what college is all about, right? You discover yourself. So this is what you did, and it looks like you made the right decision, still being in marketing. Segueing into that, you've been in marketing for over a decade now, and you've worked your way up the ladder to your current position as VP of Market Success at Appfire. What does Appfire offer, and what is your responsibility as the VP of Marketplace Success?
Well, Appfire is an enterprise collaboration software company. We make a number of different products that help teams plan and deliver their best work. So a lot of our products are sold on marketplaces like Atlassian, Salesforce's AppExchange, Microsoft, Azure DevOps, other ones like that. So that's kind of what Appfire does. I've actually been here 6.5 years. So I joined as a director of marketing, and I was our first full-time marketing hire. And over the years, I built up a team and built up all the different marketing functions. And I pivoted last year into a new role called Marketplace Success that is all about optimizing not only how we present ourselves on these various software marketplaces, but also managing those relationships with those upstream software manufacturers.
Interesting. I've never heard of app marketplace and marketing within that. So it's a great episode for sure. And I'm sure the audience is going to get a lot out of it. So let's dive in a little deeper in what you do. So what does it mean to do marketing when you sell your product on an app marketplace?
Good question. So it's a little bit different than when you have your own standalone product, and we have a few of those as well. But there are a few major differences. For one, most of the revenue that we receive from customers actually flows through those marketplaces. So it goes through another company before it gets to Appfire. That means that it has kind of consequences across the board. It means we don't always have full transparency into the entire funnel and purchasing process. We also, in most of those cases, pay a portion of those proceeds to the upstream software manufacturer that's managing the marketplace. it also has ramifications for things like, how we name our products, SEO, all those different things. So basically the way it works though is like, generally speaking, is when a customer is using, let's say Atlassian's Jira, and there's something they want to do, but they can't get native Jira to do that. They will go out to Atlassian's marketplace and look for Jira apps that might solve their pain point or their need, or they may be working with like a solution partner. But either way, they're eventually going to find one of our apps that helps them solve that need that they have. They can, start a trial, see if they like it, see if it solves their need, and then buy it. And then they're going to buy it via the marketplace, and then we'll get our cut after the sale is complete. So it's just, it's a bit different because we don't own the web property. We manage our listings, but it's not our website.
Okay.
And it's a transaction and billing system.
So in your marketing efforts, how do you measure results, and how do you think about some of the basic marketing concepts such as SEO, traffic conversion on a marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good question too. We, in terms of how we measure our results, there are a few different metrics we're looking at. Of course, we want to increase traffic. We can measure the traffic to our listings, even though it's not our overall website. We're able to get some of that information about total, visitors and how they're engaging on our pages. We're looking at number of trials started. We're looking at conversion rates. So we want to see how people are, when we have X number of trials, how many of those convert to a paying customer. We're looking at retention rates, how, if people are sticking with our product. All those metrics get a little funky though, because again, we don't always have full transparency into like lead sources and things like that. So we sometimes have to get a little creative. Also, like if there's, let's just say a customer churns and they stop using our app, we don't always know if it's because our app stopped working for them and they didn't need it anymore, or if they churned from the underlying product. Using the Jira example, we don't know if they stopped using Jira altogether or they just stopped using our app. So there's a little bit of like black box there when we're trying to understand some of those success measures.
Mm-hmm.
To your other question though, about just like how we think about some of those other concepts, like SEO is multifaceted when you're working on a marketplace. We're not just thinking about getting to the top of Google. That's really important, but we also have to think about the search experience within the marketplace. How do we get to the top of the search results if someone's going straight to the marketplace and searching for certain keywords? Because we get traffic from both types of search. When we think about I think I've already touched on some of the other ones, but yeah, does that answer the question?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for explaining that.
Yeah.
As you know, as a marketing leader, products that aren't priced to fit the market can fail. What are the considerations for pricing a product on a marketplace? How do you go about that?
So I do a lot of the pricing work at Appfire, and there are a number of considerations. So I would just say, like, overarching, like one of the biggest considerations is trying to be in alignment with the go-to-market strategy of the upstream software manufacturer. So thinking about the way that people buy, I'll stick with the Jira example. The way people buy Jira a lot of times is either, if they're a smaller company, they might go straight to the website and start a trial and put in their credit card information to buy it. If they are an enterprise customer, they're almost definitely working with a solution provider to buy Jira. So we have to think about how someone's going to buy our product in those different scenarios based on the size they are. And we have companies, from, a few users to one user to like several tens of thousands of users. And so our customers are all different sizes. They're all over the world. They're in every single industry. So yeah, the pricing, of course, is really important. And we try to make sure our pricing is somewhat aligned to the upstream manufacturer. So if they provide significant, like, I don't want to say discounts, that's not the right word. But if their price per user flattens out a bit more as you scale, then we want to follow a similar pattern. So that's one of the things we think about. Of course, we also look at things like, what's the competition out there? Like that influences it. What functionality is native to the product, and how much value are we providing on top of that? So all of our pricing is value based. We base our pricing on the value that people are getting out of our software. But all those things kind of go into that.
Okay. You mentioned that your products are used all over the world. Do you adjust the price depending on the region? Let's say you're, I don't know, Eastern Europe compared to the United States. Do you adjust the pricing, or do channel partners adjust that pricing depending on the region?
No, we really don't. We kind of have one global price for our products, and that's also kind of in alignment with with our upstream manufacturers.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. That makes sense. When it comes to channel partners, how do you pick those channel partners? How do they come into play? And when you're selling within a software ecosystem, and maybe even explain what a software ecosystem is.
Yeah, so in this case, like let's take Atlassian or Salesforce. They've invested in and created these enormous ecosystems around their core products. So in Salesforce, there are all these consultants that help people implement the product. In the Atlassian space, of course, there are consultants that help with implementation. There are also resellers. There are thousands of app vendors in both of those ecosystems, creating apps and add-ons that extend, augment, enhance those underlying products. So when I say like the ecosystem, I'm talking about not just the main company like Salesforce or Atlassian, but all the companies sort of in their orbit that are all working together to service these common customers. So when I think about channel partners, that's first of all, I should say that's not my area of responsibility. We have an entire really talented, amazing team that manages our channel partners. But the way that we think about them is we're trying to help them help customers. And so if our apps can solve one of their customers' pain points, that's what they want, that we want to help them position it that way. So ultimately it's all about helping them help their customers.
Yeah, perfect. It's the importance of knowing your audience and just being there to serve. That's probably one of the most important things that I've learned over my marketing career. Sell the benefits for sure. So you've been in the industry for about maybe 10 years, I think. And you're all in. I mean, you got your MBA from Georgia Tech. You're all into marketing. You've going through the ranks. What's one important lesson that you've learned over the course of your marketing career that you could share with us?
I think a big one is just being adaptable. Things always change. And especially if you are working in a high growth company that's fast paced, it's growing quickly. Things are just always going to be changing. And so one of Appfire's core values is thrive on change and grow together. And so we've sort of all adopted this mindset that like, hey, everything is always changing. We shouldn't just try to be successful despite the change. We should like embrace it, know that it's always going to be coming, be, mentally prepared for this. But yeah, just being adaptable to all of the changes that may come your way, whether it's the career trajectory, different opportunities, being excited and able to grab new opportunities as they're presented, and just being able to make adjustments and be kind of, I would say, emotionally neutral about all the changes that may come your way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's with the business or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's always adapting that needs to happen.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Let's say someone in the audience is entry-level marketing specialist, for example, but has big aspirations to becoming either a VP of marketing or even a CMO in the future. What are some of these steps that you took in order to get yourself up the ladder, step by step, what should people focus on?
Yeah, a few things come to mind that have helped me a lot. So for one, when I was at Hannon Hill, I wanted to be a manager, but at the time we didn't have a very big marketing organization. And so I went to our CEO and I asked her if I could have an intern and for the summer. And she said yes. It was, a relatively reasonable ask. We got a whole lot of value out of our first intern. And I got a lot of experience just, from listing the job to interviewing to hiring to onboarding to managing. And then she stuck around part-time for the next entire school year and was like really valuable to us. And I still keep in touch with her. But just starting with, if you're interested in climbing the ladder and getting into a management position, then any way you can find to get some management experience is always helpful. And even if it's not people, just maybe raising your hand and taking on managing a different project than you normally would, or raising your visibility there. So that's one idea that can help people get that experience, even if they aren't in a position to manage a large team. Some other things, I mean, I won't say everybody needs to get an MBA, but for me, it was really helpful because I needed to round out the rest of my business experience. And most marketing leaders need to be well versed in other areas of the business. They need to be thinking about finance and operations and all the different parts that help the business be successful, even though they're not running those areas. So for me, that was really helpful. I would say it also helped me get my job here at Appfire. The fact that I had an MBA was impactful during that recruiting process. And another thing is just kind of being upfront about what your goals and intentions are. I actually didn't apply for this job at Appfire, but I was recruited. And when I had my first initial meetings with my would-be boss, who was one of the founders here, I told him, like, I'm ambitious. I want to climb a ladder. I want to be on a certain path. And we made that part of the conversation regularly. Like, how can I keep learning? How can I grow? How can I get there? And he was really supportive. And so just sharing your intention is always helpful. Things like the way I got this job, I was doing some public speaking. I was managing an email marketing team at an agency. And I got the bug and just thought it'd be fun to go talk about email marketing at a handful of conferences. And so I ended up, my future boss from Appfire was in the audience at one of my presentations. And yeah, the rest was history. I mean, it happened really quickly after that. And it was really exciting to get recruited here. And then just some lessons I've learned here. I mean, you don't always luck into an Appfire situation. I joined here as our first marketing hire. I was the only one. We started building the team with kind of a bang. Like, I was here for a year, went on maternity leave. I came back and then I hired 4 people and brought over a couple people from other departments. And within 2 years of starting, I suddenly had a team of 8 people. And so it was, not everybody lucks into that situation. That was exciting for me because Appfire is such a high growth, awesome company to be at, that it's given me a lot of opportunities I might not have at other companies that aren't growing so quickly. So that would probably be another lesson, is just look for a company that's growing quickly, because opportunities abound when a company is growing.
Yep, all ships rise. Absolutely. That's really, really good advice. And I have to agree with that as well. When we had our annual user conference, I was lucky enough to hire 2 contractors to help with that. And that's how I got some managing experience as well through that. And probably going to do the same, maybe hire a content creator or something just to help out so I can do more high level stuff in the future. So that's great advice. Thank you for that. What are
another good example of how you can get it without having to invest in a full-time employee,
Exactly. I tried the Upwork route. That didn't work out. It was kind of a disaster getting somebody from there. But maybe if I get somebody that's more going to be consistently working for us as a contractor, then maybe they're a bit more invested in the company. and in the product. So I'll probably go try that route next.
Makes sense.
Let's talk about furthering your education without having to go to school. What are 2 or 3 books anyone should read to further their knowledge as marketers?
Ooh, anyone should read. Okay, so this is not really a marketing book, but I read this during my MBA, and I still think about it and mention it always. But Dan Ariely, Predictably Irrational. This one is great because it kind of explains how people think. And the whole premise is that people are not rational, despite how much we think we're rational. They're irrational, but that does not mean that they're not predictable. So we make irrational decisions every single day, but they tend to follow certain patterns. And so I think, when you're a marketer, you're also kind of a psychologist. So understanding how people think is really helpful. Another book I just kind of grabbed because I read it earlier this year is more pertaining to marketplaces. And this is more like if you wanted to start a marketplace business, the lean marketplace. This was written by one of the founders of what's the name of the platform? It's Tribe something. Anyway, it's Share Tribe. They actually make a marketplace platform, but this is actually a series of blogs turned into a book. But I just thought it was really inspiring to hear a bunch of different stories of how different marketplace businesses were started, and how people who want to start a marketplace can think about the different metrics and like ways to get it going. Like, do you start by recruiting vendors first or customers? Like, don't you kind of need both at the same time? Chicken and egg thing. So that gave me a lot of just food for thought when I read that earlier this year. I would also say this isn't a book, but I recently got a Reforge membership, and I'm taking a class right now on pricing and monetization, as a matter of fact. Try to up my game there, level up my skills. But there are all kinds of different learning paths and curriculum online. You don't have to read a book. You can experience it with other people, or do other things. What I like about Reforge, though, is the program I'm enrolled in is a cohort program. So there's regularly scheduled content and assignments, and you're in it with a number of other people together. So you have discussions, and it's not like wholly self-guided. There's some structure and accountability to it.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that advice. You won't have to share a link for the audience for that program after this, and I'll put it in a LinkedIn post. Last question before we wrap up the episode. How can people get in touch with you to learn more about you or Appfire?
So I am on LinkedIn. That's really the best way to find me. I'm just linkedin.com/in/Holly Wright. Somehow I got that one. I'm also on Twitter, Holly Go Rightly. But yeah, I would also say if anyone's listening and they think Appfire sounds like a cool place, we are hiring. Even amid this tech situation, we are still hiring and growing. So definitely check out appfire.com/join.
Very good. Holly, I thank you so much for being part of the Marketing Tales show today, and really appreciate you and all the advice you've given to me and the audience.
Thank you for having me. It's so nice to catch up with a fellow Hannon Hill person. So yeah,
all right.
great
Take
chat.
care. Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.